Chapter 31: Rimiru Tempest versus Rimiru Tempest. As both of them clashed with each other, both of them began to exchange slashes at very fast pace. Rimiru slashed at Rimiru, but she deflected with her fan before she countered attack with which Rimiru will block. The movements were a blur to those who were trying to watch the fight. Rimiru sensed that their fight will destroy his castle and immediately jumped back and disappeared using space shift. Rimiru was at first surprised, but she smiled and disappeared also, leaving everyone in the room in a state of shock and confusion. Luminous turned to Milim and asked, "What just happened? What happened? The sound just stopped. I couldn't see because they were too fast for me to see." Milim stood up and changed her outfit to her normal attire. Rimiru didn't want to destroy his castle, so while he fights that other female version of himself. He teleported outside of the city by the side of the exit of the Jura forest. Bimaro looked at the others. "We must go and assist our lord in this fight." Koya looked at Bimaro like he was crazy. "Do you seriously think that any of us can fight on our master's level? She may be a different person, but she is still Lord Rimiru, which means she is just as strong as our master. We can't let Lord Rimiru fight her alone, can we?" Shinon asked with an angry voice. "Shinon is right. We can't stand here and do nothing while Lord Rimiru fights her alone," Ultima said. He nodded to look to the monsters as they were debating. "Do you think that any of you will stand a chance against this person? She's the exact same powers as Rimiru, you know." "That is true. That may be true, but we have to try at least," Rigard said. Milim sighed and looked at everyone in the room. "All of you shut up." The whole room went quiet after Milim said that. They all know not to get her angry. They all knew not to anger Milim at this moment because she is the most worried of them all right now. "None of you can fight her because as much as I don't want to admit, she's powerful, even more than I am. Only Rimiru can face her now. If you guys go now, you will only be a burden to Rimiru." All of his subordinates looked down in frustration because of what Milim said was true. In short, they were all weak. Milim smiled. "Do not fright. I will go and give Rimiru the support he needs." Bimaro was the first to react. "No, Lady Milim. If anything happened to you, Lord Rimiru will be very upset." "Mohahaha! Don't worry so much, Bimaro. I won't lose that easily. Besides, I want to ask her some things about what she said earlier about me," Milim told them with confidence. The others nodded their head at Milim. Milim smiled and took off the direction of where Rimiru was. Bimaro turned back to the others. "We may not be able to fight, but we can at least be there if Lord Rimiru needs us." "Yeah," the other subordinates of Rimiru shouted together before they all ran out of the room, just leaving Bimaro with Luminous and the Paladins. "What will you do now?" Bimaro asked Luminous. Luminous stood up. "I will go and watch this fight between those two." "I will accompany you, Lady Luminous," Hinata asked. "I will follow you as well, my lady," Louise said. Hinata turned to the other Paladins and asked them to stay here unless they want to die a second time, which they all agreed without question. Bimaro nodded and turned to the tied-up Tyr, who was still sitting down on the floor. "You stay here, too, and don't even think about running away, or you will be sorry," he said to her. I don't plan to anyway. I can't break out of these strings no matter how much I try," Tyr told him. Bimaro nodded and ran out of the room to go and join the others, with Rimiru and Rimu. Rimiru appeared in the air above the Jura forest, and not long after, Rimiru appeared next to him. "Good thing you were smart enough to move our fight away from the city," Rimiru said to him. "Of course I will. Do you think I want you to hurt any of my citizens?" Rimiru asked her. Rimiru sighed. I forgot that you are the same person. I want Milim and will do anything to get her, but I will not just go and slaughter our people to do so. You haven't actually explained to me why you want Milim in the first place. What happened to Milim in your dimension? Rimuru asked her. Rimiru's face changed to that of anger. I think we have talked quite enough, don't you? I'm curious how powerful you are compared to me. Rimuru readied his sword. Might not want to believe it, but I'm confident I can match whatever you can dish out. Rimuru grinned. Is that the way you think? Just to let you know, I possess skills in all skills in existence. Still think you can win. Rimuru had a shocked look before his shock. He shook his head. All skills in the world means nothing to us. You should already know this. After all, you are me, right? Sure, true, but it doesn't change the fact I'm still stronger than of the two of us, Rimuru told him. Less talking and more fighting, Rimuru said to her. I'm counting on you, Ciel. I will do my best, Master. Rimuru had a worried look from hearing Ciel's response. He couldn't blame her, though. She is being forced to assist himself in fighting himself. This must be tough for her who values my well-being above any other thing in the world. If it becomes too much for you, Ciel, you can always see this one out. No, Master, I will see this through to the end. All right, then. Are you done talking with Ciel? Rimuru asked him. That's none of your concern. You should be worried about the fight, Rimuru said before he rushed at her with a speed that was beyond that of light and prepared to slash her. He slashed down, but she deflected with her fan. So impatient you are. Sad to say, but that attack will not work on me. Rimuru applied force power to her fan and used it to push Rimuru back a few feet. Let's see how we handle this power, Rimuru said, and she opened a black portal in front of herself, and a black chaotic energy shot out from it and headed to Rimuru. Rimuru saw the energy and dodged to the side as the energy passed him, and it hit a part of the dwarf forest. What happened next was a destruction beyond imagination. Rimuru watched as the part of the forest was literally wiped out of the world, right from the world. It's not like it exploded or anything. It exploded and got erased from existence. That power was so dangerous. He had a suspicion of what it was. He turned to Rimuru. What kind of power is that? Rimuru smiled at seeing the destruction. That was Ternal energy when it is being controlled and managed properly. So how have you control over it then? Rimuru said. To clarify, yes, I do. I've had years to practice and control that power. Now what will you do? Rimuru asked. Rimuru raised the sword and several chains came around out of thin air and wrapped tightly around Rimuru. Rimuru was surprised and tried to break the chains, but she discovered she could not. It was not just that, but she felt that her powers were gradually being drained by those chains. What is this? She asked in anger. That is my void time cage. It has the ability to bind any entity regardless of the laws of reality and time. Now, this was an experiment to confirm a theory I had, Rimuru told her. Rimuru looked confused. And what theory is that? You claim to have all skills in existence, but you had no idea what skills those chains are. It made me understand that you may possess all skills in your world, but you don't have the skills that I created in this world. Like this one, and many of my skills, you do not possess those because it isn't a part of the skills that were granted to me by the voice of the world, which is connected to all dimensions. These skills are personal to me because I created them myself, and is not connected to the voice of the world. Rimuru explained to her. Rimuru looked shocked after hearing that. Are you claiming that you have more skills than I don't know about? Exactly. I have something like this. Rimuru raised his hand and the area that was destroyed and erased before began to fix itself. It looked like it was being recreated back to the way it used to be. Rimiru looked at the spectacle before her in shock. She turned to Rimiru, who still had his hand raised. What power is that? It is almost like you were reversing time, but it's not that either. Rimiru brought hit by his hand back and looked at Rimiru. That was a secret technique of mine that I don't feel like sharing. All I can say that it's that I have the ability to bend and control reality to my will. Rimuru looked at him like he has grown a second head. Don't just casually say that you can control reality like it's walking a park. And even still, that doesn't explain how you were able to restore something that was erased by negative energy. I'm just being honest, like I said, I can control reality. Anything I visualize becomes my reality, and that of others. Though it seems it to have its limits since I'm trying to visualize a reality where you are erased, but it's not working, Rimuru told her. Well, of course it doesn't work on me. In case you haven't noticed, I'm in an existence that is above that of mere ultimate skill, Rimuru told him with a calm voice. Rimiru looked calmly at her. You're pretty cocky for someone who has been caught by my skill. Oh, this? I was just enjoying our conversation with each other. If I wanted to, Rimiru released a small dark energy from her body, which erased the chains that were binding her. I can get out of those chains like it was nothing. Like it's nothing. Rimiru sighed. Not like I wasn't expecting that, but still shocking that you can break those chains easily. This nihility energy is still starting to become a pain. Rimuru smiled. Let's continue this elsewhere, shall we? What about you? Rimuru said. What do you... Rimuru, before Rimuru could finish his question, Rimuru clicked her fingers and the world stopped. Everything became frozen and the world. Funny enough, Rimuru himself was also frozen with his power. What the, Just what happened to me? I can't move. Answer. This is time stop. Everything in the world is frozen in time. With Master's physical constitution, a countermeasure will be set up in 3, 2, and 1. After Sale's announcement, Rimuru regained his movement, but the world was still frozen in time. Rimuru looked at Rimuru moving and stopped time and smiled. Not that I was expecting you to move, but you took quicker than other Rimurus I faced. Rimuru looked at her with a slight frown. Don't think that you would stop time. Didn't think you would stop time. That is a cheap move, and you know it. Well, I can't let those guys rushing here see this fight, and those spies from Dorgo are really close for comfort. I don't want my powers to become known to this world just yet. Rimuru defended herself. Rimuru sighed. Not that I don't understand what you mean. Oh well, let's get back to our fight. Not so fast. Rimuru raised her hand to stop Rimuru. I'm sure you know that if both of us fight for real, that this world will be destroyed. Rimiru looked at her. What do you have in mind? Let's take this fight someplace else. Rimiru clicked her fingers, and both she and Rimiru appeared in an exact replica of where they were before. Rimiru looked around and turned back to Rimiru. Rimiru, where is this place? It's an exact replica of your world that I created just now. We can rampage all we want and not to worry about anything in the real world. Time is still stopped, so no one will notice our absence. Rimiru explained. Rimiru nodded, then no need to hold back anymore. He released all his power he was storing, which was quite massive. Rimiru looked at the display of power in shock. I can't believe that you are only a true dragon already this powers. Your powers are equal to my own. But I won't lose to you. Let me show you the difference between us. She released her own powers, which caused a crack in the sky from the amount of power. Many cracks began to appear in the sky and the ground due to the level of powers both of them were releasing. Rimiru coated his sword in his aura and slashed at the direction of Rimiru. The force of that created the giant wind blade. The fourth created a giant wind blade that cut anything in its path. It was very fast, but it cannot reach Rimuru because the barrier appeared in front of her, which blocked the wind slash. Rimuru raised her hand, and multiple black portals opened around Rimuru. A huge amount of nihility energy began to form in the portals, and was released at Rimuru at a speed beyond speed itself. Rimuru, who thought acceleration that raised his thinking and perception speed by 1 million, or no, it was 1 trillion, saw the attacks coming at him. As a thought, he shouted, immediately a black portal that looked like a black hole opened in front of Rimuru and began to suck all the internal energy away, including the portal that created them. After that was done, Rimuru raised his sword in the sky, and the weather changed to a darker, stormy cloud. A powerful lightning shot down in the sky and headed for Rimuru. Before the lightning could reach her, a black portal similar to the one appeared before in front of Rimuru, appeared and sucked away all the black lightning, which seems Rimuru had acted for her own as a loss, which ate the black lightning. Rimuru began to gather a massive amount of energy in her hand for an attack. Rimuru saw this attack and began to gather his own energy in his hand for his own attack. Both of them prepared to shoot the energy they have gathered at each other. Take this, Drago Nova! Rimuru shot and shouted a condensed Drago Nova that was bigger than Milim's at Rimiru. Blasted a wall away. Dragon Cannon! Rimiru shot his own attack that he developed during his fight with Veldora at Rimiru's attack. The two attacks met, and an explosion that occurred literally destroyed the replica Earth. Not just the replica Earth, but other planets that were obliterated as well. Once the explosion died down, Rimiru and Rimiru were seen floating in the galaxy, looking at each other. Both of them looked as though the explosion from never happened. Neither of them have a scratch on them. It was almost ridiculous considering that the replica planet was destroyed from the explosion, with them inside of it. Since magic and skills won't work, Rimiru readied his sword. Then physical attacks it is, Rimiru said readying her fan. Prepare yourself, both of them shouted before rushing to engage each other in an immense physical battle. Rimiru was able to control his null energy. He stole null energy and imbued it to his sword. With null energy and mixed with his sword, Rimiru is now able to slice through any attack or defense of anyone with ease, since his sword will eat away at any kind of attack. He dubbed this move Imaginary Blade. He used this move on to slash at Rimiru, but she blocked it with her fan and returned her own attack, but Rimiru dodged it. The reason she can block Imaginary Blade is because Imaginary Blade is mixing internal energy into a sword, while Rimiru's fan was created by nihility energy itself. Her fan is the essence of chaotic energy, and Rimiru's sword is the fusion of chaotic energy and material object. When these two objects clash with each other, we will have a destructive stalemate, which is the current situation now. Rimiru and Rimiru continued their fight for a complete 7 days and 7 nights, with neither of them gaining the upper hand in the fight. On the 8th day, both of them were standing on the replica moon, looking at each other. Their clothes were in shambles, but the energy levels were just as high in the beginning of their fight. No, it has doubled because of their bodies, which are constantly absorbing magicals from everything around them. The both of them prepare to continue, but something happened that stopped them. A crack appeared on the atmosphere, and Milim smashed through it and entered the replica Earth. She was wearing her battle armor and holding her world-class sword. Milim looked at Rimiru and looked around and saw Rimiru and Rimiru standing on the moon. There you are, Rimiru. I've been searching for you. She flew down next to the surprised Rimiru. Rimiru and Rimiru both had a shocked look on their face from seeing Milim. They didn't think that anyone would be able to enter this world, let alone Milim. How did you enter here, Milim? Rimiru asked her. Milim smiled when she saw that Rimiru was all right. It took me a lot longer than I thought to get to you, but I was rushing to assist you in your battle. I was suddenly frozen in time. It took me 3 days for my body to adjust in the frozen time, but I was able to move after it did. I began to search for you, but your presence completely vanished from the world. And then I remember the engagement ring you gave me, the energy imbued with it, and the energy you imbued in it, because you wanted to know the location at all time. I traced the energy back to your location, which took me a long time to pinpoint but once I did, I used instant movement to get to the location, but it was stopped by a powerful barrier. It was blocking anything from entering that world. I used my powerful attack and was able to smash through the barrier and enter here, Milim explained to him. Rimiru could not believe that what he heard, and what she did made it sound easy, but it was more complicated than that. First of all, how did Milim have a teleportation ability? Of course, is the guilty party. When and why did you give her that skill? She requested that I gave her a power that will allow her to instantly move to your location wherever you are. So I created the skill and gave it to her. I see, but how did Milim know of your existence? It happened the night of your engagement, when you two were going at it with no intention of stopping. She was able to sense my presence during the intercourse between you two. Ever since, she's been asking me to teach her some things on how to be a good wife, and I have been very helpful. Rimiru blushed from being reminded of his and Milim's passionate night together. Note from author: I hope none of you seriously thought that our two favorite lovebirds will get engaged and not do a thing to each other. If you thought nothing happened between Rimiru and Milim at the night of their engagement, well, you're wrong. Something happened, a lot of something, but I'll leave that to your imagination. Back to the story. Rimiru sighed and turned to Milim. Not that I'm not glad that you are here, but you should have come. She's on a completely different level from anything you've ever faced, Rimiru told her. I don't care. Milim brought her sword in front of Rimiru. She took a battle stance of her. If she thinks that I'm going to stand by and watch her try to kill my future husband, then she has another thing coming. Rimiru looked at the situation inside. Rimiru, let's postpone our fight for next time. As much as I would like to take Milim, I know that you will get in my way if I tried, and I can't bring myself to hurt her anyway. Milim got angry. Don't underestimate me. She rushed at Rimiru with great speed and prepared to slash her, but her sword was stopped before it reached Rimiru. Milim was confused on what stopped her sword before she looked, and what she saw made her jaw drop. Not just her, Rimiru also had a jaw on the ground. In front of Milim, blocking her sword, was another Milim with dull, blank eyes. And this new Milim applied force to her sword, released a shockwave that sent Milim back to Rimiru, who managed to catch her in the air before she hit the ground. The new Milim. The new Milim turned back to Rimiru and kneeled while bowing. Master, I came as soon as I sensed your presence. What are your orders? Rimiru looked at the still shocked Rimiru and Milim before she answered. We're done here. We are returning back to our place to plan on how I deal with this, Rimiru. As you wish, my master, the new Milim said before she stood up next to Rimiru. Rimiru looked at the new Milim and then back at Rimiru. What is she? Her appearance may be that of Milim, but is she most definitely not Milim? Rimiru smiled at him. Apologies, but I have to get going. If you really want to know, then ask the elf for answers. I'm sure she'll be more than happy to tell you. Rimuru then clicked her fingers and a portal appeared behind her and the new Milim. Until next time, Rimuru and Milim, and you too, Milim. She smiled as she walked into the portal with the other Milim following her. The portal closed after the both of them as they walked through. Rimuru turned to Milim, who was in his arms. We've got big problems, don't we? Milim sighed. We both can never get a break from all this stress. Who do you think that the other Milim is? I can sense something is wrong with her, but I don't know what. Her powers were massive. Rimuru shrugged his shoulders. If I don't know, I don't know. But I'm certain we will get our answers when we return. Let's go back. Milim buried her face into Rimuru's chest. Sure, she mumbled. Rimuru carried her bridal style and walked into a portal that he created, which connects to their original world. And thus the fight was temporarily postponed for a later date. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe today to become one of my domestic listeners. Goodbye and peace out, everyone.